Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening.
It's true. Or it might not even be Sunday where you are. Right?
Could be Monday.
So happy Monday or Sunday. Everything is just a hot blur today for us Canadians because, well...
It's Pi Day.
It is Pi Day.
Happy Pi Day.
Pi Day shouldn't be on our change day, though.
It's sad that it is, but we made it. We're here.
Yeah, it's true, and it is Pi Day. I do enjoy a good pie, as long as there's no sugar in said pie.
Understandable. we don't want David dying on us.
No. So we got a ton. No, well, we got a bunch of people in chat, not a ton, because technically people in chat don't weigh anything, just saying. But good morning, everybody.
Great way to lose weight. Join chat.
It's true. It looks like Greg shouted everybody out in chat.
As many as I could, because if they disappeared or something, then I didn't get to see them. So
I need to change my one clock now. Yeah, everybody, if you haven't done it yet, go through your house if you're in one of them weird time zones that change your clock an hour forward. Good morning, Cam, and Brad, and Henry, and Dom, and Ray, and Ben. See, I think that's like everybody, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I see. So, I mean, I gotta fix your face because Greg's camera keeps changing sizes. But before we get going, you know what we do after we welcome people? We thank people.
We do.
So a huge shout out to our Patreons. Thank you all. Helch, thanks for being a tree support level, and thanks everybody for joining at any level. You guys are awesome. Yeah. The Discord is always chatty on the Patreon side. That's it's good to see right now. It's it's Stig and us, and I know other people are watching. Good morning, Henry. Henry just showed up too. So
hey, Henry.
We appreciate all you folk that join Patreons, and we appreciate all you folk that haven't joined Patreon. That just subscribe and like and follow.
And join in the chat, because the chat always has great engagement and always has great questions and sometimes funny commentary. So it's great.
Yeah, it's true. Cam, we won't explain too much about political stuff on that statement, but yeah, Kenny is trying to kill people, I guess you could say. Everybody's going back to their gatherings, so we should have more bandwidth. Huh? Yay, bandwidth. And where Greg and I live, fun fact, we're number 1 now. As of yesterday's count, we're number 1.
Yeah, we have the most per 100,000 people cases of COVID in the province. So
we rock. I'd like to thank the Academy. No, I'm just kidding. But I mean, moving on from gloominy doominy stuff, the title, we're going to try to nail the title this week before we run out of time. like we did last week. So maybe I will throw it to Greg to start with, but do you want to introduce this section, my good friend?
Sure. We thought we would talk a little bit about what printers do we use, and just kind of highlight kind of the ones we use daily. I'm not going to go over some of the ones that are collecting dust. So,
That's fair. That's fair.
so do we want to start out? Do you want me to start, or do you want to start?
No, you can start.
All right.
What do I need to do to facilitate your?
I'm going to do a screen share so you can make me big.
Okay.
So first up.
Wait, hold on. I'm new to this. There.
All right.
There.
So first up is my Ender 3 kit. It has been a nice little workhorse. I've got the magnetic PEI flex plate on it. I've got a T-Team Tech style box at the back. It's a modified version so that I could have a Pi 4 in it. I've got a Big Tree Tech SKR 1.4 turbo in it. I also have the Big Tree Tech UPS in it. Yeah, and so it's a good little workhorse. And yeah, so that is my one printer. Then we've got Blue Thunder. Blue Thunder is my CR10 V2. I have converted it to get rid of the side box. All my electronics are underneath on this side here. It's other than the electronic box being underneath, it's stock. Works really well. Yeah, and so I print on this one quite a bit also. And so then we'll
now the names will maybe make sense to folk too as they're looking at
it. Right? and this is Bumblebee. This is my highly modified Anycubic Chiron, or Chiron for all those people who are yelling at their screens right now. Yeah, so I've converted this one. I still have the same power supply on the side, but I've got the Big Tree Tech 1.3 in here with 2209s. I've got the Humera on it and BL Touch. So I've modified it quite a bit. And as you can see from all the pictures, I do have cameras on all my printers. Below this one, you can see that it's missing a screen because I took it off for the screens video, and I have not put it back on yet because I don't really use the screen for printing all that much. I mostly use the Raspberry Pi. And then I have my Mandalorian storage unit. This is the MakerBot Replicator 2. I have fixed it up, got it working. It works fine. It's got a non-heated bed for all of you who aren't familiar with the MakerBot. It's got an all-metal hot end. It works really well, but only print PLA on it because it doesn't have a heated bed. And you have to use the proprietary slicer to utilize it. So there you go. Those are my current fleet of printers. I have two more that I don't really use that much, but they'll be coming into other projects a little later. I have a BQ Legend, which has been partially parted out. The motherboard is now in my CR10 and whatnot, and I took the CR10 motherboard and put it in the Legend, and so yeah. So that's the kind of stuff I've got kicking around my space.
It's fine.
Now, how about you, David?
Oh man, I got some stuff. There's some stuff in a box here still for our workshop. Greg and I are workshopping this week, Friday, for some Southern Alberta school boards. I guess actually technically it goes up to Calgary, so it's in Alberta, Southern Central Alberta-ish school board, right? So that'll be fun. I don't even know how many people he's actually enrolled, but yeah. So there's one in a box. There's an Ender. If you all know, I had an Ender 3 V2 for what, Greg? Like 4 days?
Yeah, something like
It
that.
had an honorable mention, and then it went back in the box and went back. But let me just get the right window up here before I switch. So I'm going to go chronologically for you folks. Greg's all small again. Bothers me when he goes small. He can't help it, guys. He can't decide how large he wants to be today. There we go. Bigger Greg. So I have a CR10, the S version. So this is I guess you can call it the original CR10S run up. I got this just after they came out. It is not stock anymore. It is 92% stock. No, that's not even true. New hot end, new Bowden tube, new extruder. The controller in it is a SKR 1.3 with 2209. So there's really not much stock on it. And I'll just point out too that I have a few of these, but it does have a Noctura fan on it. So the A4010, whatever they call that series. And I know there's a ton of guys that are like, oh, there's not enough flow, cubic volume flow of air. Never had it. Okay. Since I replaced that hot end, never had a clog. Greg knows I've clogged that printer really good before, but
Oh yeah.
not with that hot end. So that's the CR10 S that I have. And then the next printer that I owned was this one. So this is an Ender 3. And this one's about 2 years old now. Ender 3 Pro, maybe. And it's mostly stock. I printed the V-Rail slots. When I say mostly stock, it also has an all-metal hot end and an SKR 1.3, 2208. So stock is a relative term. Like, it says Ender on the front right bottom there. So it's still an Ender, right? And you'll see all my Enders and any printer that I do have magnets on, the PEI sheet goes on. So it's a Flex Steel PEI. I don't know. What are your guys' thought on Flex Steel PEI? Who uses it? Who likes it? Greg and I love it. And then the next set of printers I will show you is actually an interesting set. So the one on the right is the SX4. So that's the large volume Core XY printer I have. That's actually not mine. My wife bought it. It is hers. So she has one of the largest printers in the room. But not to be outdone, Greg, I got a Predator, which is taller than her printer, right? So it evens out.
Are you saying like Cam says, size matters?
In this case, maybe. And I was telling Greg I did get the config to dump from the Predator actually yesterday night, so I could actually see what was on there. Greg and I have been working at it a little bit off and on. We actually have one of these, and you guys, if you've been with us for a while, I think this wasn't the Predator our second or third video. Somewhere in there, yeah. So we've been the Predator we really like, and it is currently stock, but I will be probably upgrading it. Upgrading isn't the right word. Changing it to Marlin, so I don't have to send Cheeto box commands to it. Which is kind of different. So we did that one. So the last one is something that Greg and I both have. Greg brought this over to my house one day and said, here, and if you know how the Legends build, I don't know if this was the exact one that electrocuted me.
I think it was.
But so it's a Legend. We've tuned it. It prints decently now, but it's going to be kind of our platform printer. So if we have like parts that we want to switch on and off or test really quick.
Well, yeah, I've got a project for it, and I'll talk about that in a bit.
So. And if you don't know, the Big Tree Tech printers all come with SKRs, and it makes sense because Big Tree Tech SKR, right? Might as well do it. The only weird thing on this printer that I'll say now, like it prints okay. Now I get decent quality out of it after we tuned it and tweaked it. But the filament runout sensor getting the filament to go through the sensor into the extruder, I think they're just like maybe half a millimeter unaligned. So then it's like, please go, please go. But I mean, the 6 that I have here, and there will be more in the future, probably, because
Well, I'm gonna. I think I mentioned before, I'm retiring Bear. My ANET A8, I will be dismantling and parting out and whatnot. He will rise again in other projects and pieces. But yeah, so, and I have made a decision that my workshop will be buying me a Voron Zero.
Yes. And
so that will be a video build. So, yeah.
And then, I mean, as far as if I remember the conversation correctly, you're going to upgrade the Voron Zero to something bigger eventually.
Well, I'm going to use the Voron Zero to print something bigger.
True. So I'm just reading through chat. We're going to do a chat pop out here. Cam says, anyone know how to completely reset a BL Touch? My offset is messed up. It's actually a positive number where it used to be. So Cam, if you follow the video that we made about the probing sensors, like what, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago?
Something like that.
Basically what you can do is you can set M851 back to 0. So M851 Z0. You have to turn off your software end stops, and then you can baby step, or you just use your controller and come down bit by bit until you're matched, and then you can you write down the number when you get there, or if you have baby stepping on, you can just click the button and it should save to EEPROM. But write down the number, and then from there you should be able to. The words, Greg, they're coming to my head.
Save them back to EEPROM.
There, that's the complete verbiage. And
the other thing you should do is take that number, and if you've got your configuration file open, find the section where the offset is set, and put that number in there so that it is saved for the next time that you end up reflashing it, because sometimes I'll tweak something and then I'll go to reflash it, and I will have forgotten to put that number in there, and it will be at the old number, which wasn't quite right. So so don't forget. It's always good that save it in your firmware, save it so that it's live on the hardware, but then go back and put it in so if you ever upgrade to Marlin 2.8 or 9 or whatever comes out in the future, you have it ready to go.
Yes. And now the other thing, we can go with a screenshot moment here, folk. I did throw it up, and I'm going to leave it for a few more seconds, but here's the steps. So if you want to pause, write down the steps, or just take a quick screenshot, then you can continue on. But it will be going away in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, all gone. There. So that's the steps, Cam. I hope that helps.
And Cam, I can't remember if you're in Discord or not. If you are, you can always ask your stuff in there too, and we'll try to help you out.
Yes. Just catching up. I started to use. Brad says I started to use a textured PEI spring steel. It's the only thing I can get PC to not warp on. Yeah. PC is a pain in the butt. I imagine you're not using like a magnet though when you're printing PC. Let me know if you're sticking that thing down with a magnet. I'd be interested, Brad, to know. It's just the bed temperature and the Coriolis effect. I think is the word.
Yeah, the higher your temperature, the lower the magnetivity of your stickiness of your magnet is. So yeah, so if you've got an enclosure and whatnot, that could be a problem. But
So church is in session. Yes, it is.
so it's a kit, Pierre. If you're asking about the Voron Zero, so I'm ordering the Voron Zero kit with all the pieces. So I still have to assemble it and put it together, solder it, and do all that stuff. But I want the Zero because I want a Core XY. And I don't know if any of you have watched Stefan's from CNC Kitchen's video. He just kind of posted out his video on his Voron Zero, and like him, when I'm prototyping stuff, sometimes I just want stuff to print fast.
That's true. You need to spit it out.
And a lot of my parts are small anyway that I want to print. So that's the one thing. I went for the biggest printer I could get, and I got the Bumblebee, and I hardly ever print anything that big. I mean, I do, and it's nice to have in the toolbox, but most of my parts are small. So it's 100 by 100 by 100 cube is what the build volume is, and it's pretty fast little printer. So that's what I wanted it for rapid prototyping kind of thing. So
yep, that's fair. I mean, I'm the same way.
I wanted and ABS.
No,
So
yes,
I'm it's going to be enclosed, and I will put filters on it and everything, and so I can actually print ABS. So and I have a vent nearby going outside, so I can actually vent it to the outside world and pollute the underneath of my deck.
There it goes. Kill some grass. Like the large format printers, the biggest thing that, like, I printed some pretty big stuff on the SX4, like vase mode rockets and stuff like that, but the last thing that came off both of them is the SX4 printed 80 bitty Cali Cat. I think, or no, the last thing on the SX4 was the glow rocket at the end of the last video, sorry. And then the Predator just finished printing like a small knob. So, I mean, why not?
Yep. Well, and Andrew says that he passed on the Voron and went with the V-King. I'm not familiar with the V-King. I'm going to have to just quickly look it up.
V-King's nice. Yeah, and like when I got into the Core XY, I bought one that was it's 4x4x5. It's the build volume of my Core XY, the SX4. And it's needed a little tweaking here and there. It hasn't been like perfect. You guys, if you haven't seen the video, I go through what we do to rewire it to make it safer, and just the tweaks that all around that we've made on it. And if you don't know, we have a fleet of 3D printers where Greg and I work. Well, Greg works there. I visit sometimes now. But we have 3 SX4s there as well. So we kind of like them. Dominic, are you going to use Clipper to print a 10-minute benchy?
Well, I definitely want to try out Clipper for sure. David's always teasing me that he always wants to use Clipper everywhere. When we were at we have the sprint farm that he's talking about at work, and he's always threatened to put Clipper everywhere.
Yep, I'm gonna Clipper one
I'm
day.
like, but I don't know how to use Clipper.
And the printers at work make sense too, because all of those controllers are 8-bit.
That's true. They are. So it's something I definitely want to try out, and we do have Pis on all of them. Mm-hmm. So it's not like we technically couldn't have Clipper running on the Pi and whatnot. Yep. So it is something that I'm curious on Clipper, but I'm also curious on something else we'll talk to after our announcement.
This is true, and that's coming up. We're going to do it in a second. the one thing I just want to, I know Dom, you asked Greg. I'm a Raspberry Pi nerd though, but
That's okay.
I want to
Raspberry
make
Pi.
it right. Clipper is very, very good if you want to control 8-bit boards faster or more than one 32-bit board in a team. But
Yeah, so for example, if you haven't seen the Vorons, like the 2.4, they actually have two SKR boards on them because the amount of steppers they need, they exceed. I think they use 7 steppers.
yeah,
So in order to do that on the 2.4, they use Clipper
yep.
and two USB cables going to the boards, and away you go. You can run 3 boards, 4 boards. It doesn't matter. It can handle it all. So it's kind of neat. So and yes, you can run Clipper and Octoprint on the same.
Yes, that's the magic of Raspberry Pi being a computer, right? You can install both. You can print a 10-minute Benchy on a 32-bit controller very easily if your firmware is configured to go that fast.
Yeah, so you have to have a pretty solid machine. So like a Voron Zero, which is quite a small build volume, right? You could potentially do that fairly easily, I would think.
Yeah, and I mean the fastest one I've pulled off the SX4 for a Benchy was that 19-minute one.
That's pretty good.
So
a 20-minute Benchy, there's nothing to.
No, you're getting sub. When you're getting,
especially if the quality is pretty, not bad, right?
No, and that's the thing. Like the only thing that was wrong with the cooling wasn't good enough with that duct that we printed for them, for the front of the hall. Maybe I'll print another one though, and we can showcase it.
Well, and Stefan even pointed out in the video, the biggest thing is being able to push enough material, right? So you can get your movement up high enough, but if you can't push enough material, you're going to get major under extrusion, right? So
so you have to be able to match, and that's balance. Like super volcano. The hotter, the more volume can go through, and then like you're not going to be doing it on a single geared extruder. You're going to need, you're going to need a Bondtech dual gear grip
or
something that can actually push that filament. So on an ender you could probably like tweak it so in theory you could, but you'd probably end up just hearing click 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 click, and then eventually you'd see your extruder arm on the floor.
You'd need some sort of volcano-esque hot end of some sort to or throw on a Slice Engineering Mosquito or something that can melt at a nice enough rate. So
Andrew says I have an Ender 3 that has the original 8-bit board and a spare Raspberry Pi. Do it. Clipper was designed for that.
It would really shine probably.
Yeah. I think that we should I still have all my 8-bit boards.
That needs to be a video.
Yeah, we'll have to. High Flow Dragon. Yes.
Yep.
We talk about it a lot in the Discord back channels too. There are lots of hot ends that are cloned on AliExpress, and you just have to be careful which one you're actually buying. But like usually HF crazies, NF crazies, they will give you a little higher flow, but again, quality and mileage may vary.
If you spend the money on Slice Engineering, for example, you're definitely getting your money's worth because of the tolerances that they build with and the quality of their thermistors and their heater cartridges and everything. So you do get what you pay for there. and mileage may vary with the Chinese knockoff, right?
Yep.
And we've experienced that. Like, I will never buy a 3D touch sensor again,
Nope, me neither. Yep.
because I mean, yeah, they're cheap, and yes, they look like a BL Touch, and they kind of work similar, but they just don't last like
No.
and I don't think they have the, although they're manufactured similar, they don't have the quality of the BL Touch. So I've had very few, if any, problems with my BL Touches, but I think I've had two 3D touches just to try them out, and
They're
yeah,
all
they're horrible. I bent pins, and yeah, no.
the moral. Yeah, and yeah, the moral of the story is don't cheap out on your sensors. Now, if you're going for something like a BL Touch, don't even use the word something like a BL Touch. Just
No,
get a BL Touch.
get a BL Touch.
Now
Or,
I've had really good
whatever,
luck with the
whatever
inductive
quality
probe, right?
Yeah, yeah. I had one, and I didn't mind it, but then I wanted to try a BL Touch, and I kind of stuck with it. So.
Mine's a little different though. The probe I got, like, it's not different. It's an inductive metal probe, so that's the same, but it senses deeper than the other ones.
Yes.
So the trigger distance is about 2 millimeters greater than the smaller. I think the one you have is a 6 millimeter, and mine's 8.
Yeah.
But I mean, they work. They work. So that's our off rabbit chasing venture right there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's pop to this wonderful announcement that we have.
Yes, it's actually pretty. We're pretty excited, so we hope you will enjoy it.
Let me get it up here. So last week we were talking about having a material scientist. Wouldn't it be great if we had a material scientist to explain some of the stuff that either some people preach as rhetoric that's not, or, you know, how stuff actually works. So on that vein, here is a picture of our guest. So next week, we're going to have Dr. Harmon Baines join us. He is a material scientist. And if you're not familiar with material science, they walk the line between physics and chemistry. So they're very, very smart people when it comes to, obviously, materials. And the cool thing about Dr. Harmon Baines is he's actually part of a company that's a startup here in Canada. And by no means are we, like, we're not sponsored by them.
No,
but
and we're probably not going to talk tons about necessarily the company. We'll definitely mention it. We want to get nerdy,
and that's the goal behind the nerdiness. There, we want to get Dr. Baines to, you know, explain, and I've had conversations with him, and he is totally down to get nerdy with us. So if you don't know, he's Dr. Baines from BC. The company is called Matter 3D. Now they're a new company in Canada that is making performance and high quality grade material. Let's just leave it at that. They got a couple different filaments pulling off the line now. We recently purchased $700 or so worth of filament. So
for our work, but that was our work purchased it for the workshops we're doing. So we're gonna try out the filament and see what we think of it and whatnot.
But so this is going to be great because I know last week we mentioned it. Wouldn't it be awesome to have a material scientist? Because oftentimes we forget what we're printing for and what the material is actually useful for, or how to machine it after the fact, or stuff like, can all PLA be annealed, right? We hear things like, oh, you can't do that because, you know, this is highly abrasive and going to wreck your hot end. Well, we're gonna get down to the nitty gritty, and it's gonna be amazing. So you got to
Yeah.
join us next week.
So if
Um,
you do have material science type questions, like whether it's melting, the crystallization temperatures, annealing, you think up all the questions you have, hydroscopic,
mhm.
all those types of pieces that you would want to ask him. Yeah, David just popped in the our email address, so you can email us at info@3dmakeit, and we can compile all those and throw them into a doc so that we can, as we're going through our conversation, and we're going to try to have it as a conversation,
Yep.
and we're not going to grill him to death because he's definitely going to have some good insights on the chemistry and
Hmm.
the other properties in there. So, but we want, if there's a burning question that you wanted to know, like why is peak the way it is, or why is TPU the way it is, or whatever, um, we'll ask him those questions. He may or may not have the answers, but he definitely understands the chemistries
Hmm.
and whatnot. So he most likely will be able to give us the answers we're looking for.
Yeah. So we're gonna have a bunch of stuff, and in talking with him too, I'm like, you can tell us whatever you want. We'll absorb it. Um, Treat it like a TED talk, right? Like we
Yeah,
want to learn from you, and that's exactly what this is. So hopefully that we can all get something out of it. And again, he is from a company in BC, but um, they are trying to evangelize, Canadian made stuff to Canadians. If you guys don't know, um, like in the States, you can go into a micro center.
yep.
I think they're still around.
Oh yeah,
There's
yeah.
one that just closed that you could
Oh,
go
that's
into.
that's fries, unfortunately.
Yeah,
So
but
sad.
there are stores that carry 3D printers, like retail chains, like that carry filament and stuff. That doesn't exist in Canada. And I know it doesn't exist everywhere in the US. I know that not every city has like a large.
And not everywhere in the world has that either. And
No.
most of us rely on Amazon or AliExpress or some other place to order
Right.
our stuff from.
Yep. But like when you have the power of chains, and like Canada literally has four now, maybe five, and they're spread out. Canada's really, really big. If you don't know how big Canada is, we're huge. It's
Well,
the
driving
second
just
largest nation.
just our province, if you drive from one west to east, you've probably gone through 30 European countries.
Yeah, yeah, is very true, right? And
And you have never left our province.
so when we say store, like Greg and I are lucky because we can drive up the road and visit our good friend Raymond at Spool. That's close to us, but like there are some places in Canada, like next door to us, Saskatchewan, Manitoba. Good luck. You're ordering. There's no such thing as local. So, but yeah, that will be next week. So yes, please do email us questions if you have them for Dr. Baines. And yeah, he said, nice dude, down to earth and ready to come play.
Yeah,
Uh,
and his wife also is just finishing up, I believe, her degree
mhm.
in material science. So
Yep.
so he comes from a legitimately nerdy, smart
Yep.
material science background. So I'm sure the dinner conversations might be pretty interesting about material science too. So that's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
and it should be neat. And if it goes well, we hope to recur it. So maybe have them on once a month or something like that, or whatever it turns into. It turns into,
and
but
and and we want your feedback once the show's been aired and whatnot. If you like that format and you like the having someone nerdy on talking about this and that, maybe we can get someone on from a manufacturer of stepper drivers or something, or something like that, and have a conversation with them. So if you like that kind of stuff and it's something that um, you know resonates with you, then give us the feedback. So that'd be great. Yeah.
It's yeah. So next week we'll probably start on time. Well, not that we don't. We used to not, and now we're pretty close to 10 o'clock every day. Because we start the stream 15 minutes early, and you can watch our printer.
Yeah, there you go.
So I might mix up the order a little bit on us, Greg, and ask the last thing first, and then we can go on to the other thing. So I know we got a couple people here in chat, and we very much appreciate everybody in chat, by the way. Thanks for coming.
And any thumbs up will help the algorithm gods. So
yes, like, share, subscribe. Be a wizard. It's been long enough since the last chat that I don't see any history of people here, but that's okay, because we're going to ask this question anyway. So Greg and I have been talking about a little bit of like this big of a format change, and what we want to do. So if you guys don't know, when you join Patreon, we do hey there, early. Hey, held. Held. It's actually time change for us.
Yeah.
So we're still starting at. We started at 10.
Mountain time.
Yeah. So we started at the same time. Now, let us know if this sucks for you, though, because I'm not sure how many people came and it was like early or later. Just curious, because I think that can happen. Yeah. See. Okay. So Stig, guys, don't worry. We're not done. We're still going. But we had a time change. I say that like it's like the sun stopped moving around.
Yeah.
No. It's
daylight savings time.
Yeah, daylight savings time. So we actually go forward an hour, which means it would be earlier for you guys than us. So like I'm happy to say let's do it at 11. If it really screwed lots of people up, let us know. Let us know in the comments just if it's less convenient, or should we go an hour after we started today? Just let us know.
Yeah. We've already scheduled next week's one, so we're going to keep the time to change same for next week. So for anyone watching right now, 10 o'clock.
But it's 42 minutes ago.
Mountain time is when we will start the interview podcast. Stream.
And if you didn't, just really quick again, next week, special guest, Dr. Harmon Baines. He's a material scientist. He's coming to enlighten us, to actually lay down the proper stories without people guessing. So it'll be great. Now, no problems that you started out early. Just wish I know. Stig, so let's just throw it out there. Make sure you ring the bell, and I know you're subscribed, but if you don't ring the bell, it doesn't push notifications properly. So under the video or on our channel,
it'll show the time that.
Yeah, I feel bad because we I didn't even think about it affecting people. We should have popped it into Discord.
We probably should have. Yeah. So
in Canada, we're silly. We changed. So this will happen again in November. Yeah, I think November. We changed times an hour forward, an hour back, an hour forward, an hour back, because the government is sadistic to people that own pets. I don't get to watch very often due to my schedule, but I appreciate what you guys do and the information. Hey, DKS, thank you for the nice compliment. Bell, ding, ding, ding. Nice. So, format. So, like I was mentioning, we do have, and it's nice to see. I was wondering where our Patreons have happened upon this morning, but our Patreon only stream is going to be a midweek kind of hour long. We've been playing with like meat, as a venue for the Patreon only stream.
Yeah, we haven't settled on anything. I mean,
Yeah.
we might even still do an unpublished YouTube piece,
Yep.
and so we're working on that.
But if you are a Patreon, that is coming. It probably won't be this week. It will be next week because this week we have to do a bunch of prep. But next week we're not free as a bird. But just so you know, you still have time to join Patreon to get on live stream. It's going to be a little more a little more interactive because we're hoping to have you guys video chat with us if you want.
Yeah, if you want, and so we'll see how that goes. I mean, we could also do a video chat directly on Discord too. So
and we've been playing with StreamYard and stuff like that at the free level. So we'll figure what we want to do, but just know that is coming. Now. The other format thing that's kind of changing, and this is a nebulous thing, but Greg and I have been talking about.
And we're looking for feedback.
Yes, it's a feedback thing. If you like the idea, throw some smiley faces or something into the chat there. So Greg and I have been talking about doing a podcast format for maybe once a month.
Yeah, we won't get rid of this live stream, but we definitely think that maybe there's room to have some sort of podcast style content. I don't know. Thumbs up in the chat. Do any of you listen to podcasts?
Yeah, how many of you are? Okay. I did, but my brain was a fog, so I will message you that stuff today, after the live stream. Podcast, good idea, bad idea. Thumbs up if you like it. Thumbs down or angry face. What's even available in the emojis?
Oh, there's lots available.
You know what? Just something happy if you like the idea, something not happy if you don't like the idea. So the podcast kind of thing, it wouldn't like completely replace the live stream, but we were thinking about like one week in a month, the podcast would drop, which would be live stream.
And maybe the interview format might be good for the podcast. Right? Yeah. So it's not to say that we can't broadcast it as live and then put the audio out as a podcast, because we could still do that. So it's
actually, I like that idea. Yeah,
it's not necessarily mutually exclusive. We're not going to stop one to do the other, but we thought maybe doing a podcast might go. So
some interesting comments. One was, I'm just trying to learn all the sources. It's crazy. So Raymond sent a monkey with a hammer.
So we won't. I think if we did do the podcast, we would still, have the video and whatnot. And
for sure.
You could still, decide to watch it on YouTube. If that's all you do, that's fine. We're not going to say, oh no, now you have to go get this. But in addition to, we can put the audio together.
Exactly. And I think one thing to not scare you guys away, I like Pierre's one thing to do, we're not scaring anybody away. And our YouTube live streams are very, very close to what the podcast would be. Like great, like literally we could just download this, strip the audio, and then put it to a podcast, and basically it's a podcast. The podcast would just be a little more structured, and I like the idea of when we have a guest too, right? Like that would be a cool, when Dr. Baines is here, that'd be a sweet one to throw up on a podcast, because then you guys, if you're you're on the road or you can throw it on for vacuuming. if you're doing something for a while, you can kind of bring us with you in your ear. Which, I've done that a few times with a few different people I follow. I just listen to them as podcasts. So, Raymond, thank you for the monkey. He's the best. Hal says no podcast. YouTube, plenty good.
Yeah, well, we won't stop YouTube.
No.
Don't worry. We'll keep that going.
Do you mean 3D Printing Church? Because don't worry, 3D Printing Church won't stop. An audiobook, question mark. Well, not as big as an audiobook, but like an audiobook.
Just a podcast. Yeah. So if you, I think some of our people out there are familiar with podcasts, but
some aren't.
Like Stefan and Tom do the Melt Zone podcast.
Yeah,
and they do. I think they put it out once a month or once every
something like that. They try once a month, and then sometimes it's like once every whatever.
So they just have a conversation on either news that's going on or this and that. So we haven't just kind of nailed down like this is kind of conceptual stuff. So we're just sharing it with you today.
Yep.
As and getting feedback.
And if you don't know what a podcast is like at all, just picture what we're doing right now without the video.
Yeah,
that's pretty darn close.
Or with the video,
right?
Take off the video and then just put out the audio.
Right. So that's basically it. So we're just bouncing it off you. If you're in the Discord, we can chat about it too. But yeah, that's kind of that for that. Now, the next topic of the day, and probably the last one we'll get to talk about, but Greg just got really serious with it too.
Yep, I did. So my birthday's coming up next Saturday.
No.
And
is it next Saturday already?
Yeah.
That was the 27th. That's 2 Saturdays.
Oh, okay. 2 Saturdays from now. Sorry. 2 Saturdays from now. So my wife was like bugging me, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? So I told her, and I want this. So this was just released. I don't know if we've gone full screen yet, but
hold on, I'm trying really hard.
I know you are.
I was actually answering comments. There, I did it.
So the Big Tree Tech E3 RFF. So they have a version of their product that is now compatible with RRFirmware. I know there's been a few manufacturers out there. Fly is one of them that has them, and they're becoming more popular. But yeah, so I've ordered myself this, and my wife's paying for it. So yay! Now, not only does it have 2209s and built-in Wi-Fi and all your standard accessories that Big Tree Tech is known for, comes with, and right here, an extra little board for IDEX. Oh ho ho! That's right.
Check it out.
It also, you can do the high temp thermocoupler, but it's IDEX capable. So not only is it RepRap and Marlin, so I will test both of those out. It also does IDEX. So yeah, so that is what's going to be coming. So probably April, May by the time I get some content out, but maybe on the live stream I'll do an unboxing or something. So,
yeah. And that is you are right. That is the same kind of ish idea for a heat sink. IDEX is independent dual extrusion, Pierre.
Yes, and I do believe there's a few people in our chat who have done IDEX or have IDEX.
Vince Fortin is one of them. He's just not here today.
Yeah.
but
He's probably still sleeping.
it could be. Yeah, we throw everybody off. But IDEX means two dependent extruder
Two
heads,
independent extruder heads.
and then yeah, back and forth, and basically they switch off. IDEX is good, but
yeah.
independent dual extruders, and then Ben has this frowny. Anyway, I like Ben's frowny face, but yeah. So that's kind of independent dual extrusion of the Craftbot does it, but if
so my thought is I'm going to use the Legend as the IDEX experimental platform.
There is IDEX. 1 second.
Because now I can't remember. Was it Paul, or there was a gentleman? He was in our chat a couple weeks ago, and he has a company and he makes the IDEX.
Yeah. So let me just I got it here. Screen share this one. So this is an IDEX for an Ender 3 idea. It would work actually on the Legend too. You just have to model it a bit and or reshape it a bit. Yes, but it comes as a kit, and it comes with the controller actually already. You just got to add this kit to your printer.
And what is the gentleman's name that does this?
I forget his name now, but he did. Maybe it's on the contact page. No.
Maybe he is the one that was in our chat talking about it at one point.
And here, the top of the page kind of shows you they both move independently. You can see that there has a top drive belt and the normal drive belt, and then they can move independently from each other and switch off and on. So I mean, IDEX is good. It's actually one of the better ways to accomplish multi-material, not multi-color printing. But if you truly want to do multi-material, like you want to print PVA as the dissolvable support for your PLA, IDEX is a very good way to do it. The frowny is a typo. That looks cool. Yeah, it is. The only catch, and I don't know if it's a catch, but it costs as much as an Ender.
Yeah. Well, sometimes we don't do our hobbies for what they cost. People put $10,000 into a car that's not worth $2,000. So it's one of those things. Once you have a hobby, it's not because it's cheap. It's because you love it.
Just think of it this way: at least you didn't buy a boat, right? I mean, you're ahead of the game there. There was a question, and yes, a printer that can play Conkers. There was a question from DKS Calendar about he has a 3D printer in Texas, down south there, and he's just wondering what material can withstand the heat in a car. Now that's a good question.
That's a great question. Not PLA.
Yeah, well, maybe not PLA. If you anneal the PLA, some of them can get a little higher. But when you're thinking about, let's see if I can find this filament chart matter. I think it's this one.
And that's a great question for our material science guy that will be on the interview next week.
We will ask him. But to answer the question kind of right now-ish, the bed transition level is what filament typically warps at. So if I were printing stuff for the car, I would print Petchy. Or ABS.
Or ABS or ASA or nylon.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. If you want to print ASA nylon, you need a different stock setup. Your Ender's not going to do it. Your Ender can do PETG though.
Yeah, and yeah, Ben, like Ben says too, like, cause, and I'm sure, like, and I've done it too up here too, Ben, and we get well over 100 in the summer. for temperature here, but PETG works well. Annealable materials work well as well. But you have to, I would steer away from the PLA stuff. But again, we'll add that to the list of questions to throw at our special guest next week. But I think that's a good short answer. Not PLA.
Throw a thermometer in your car, put it on the dash in the middle of summer.
If it melts, you can't use anything.
And see how hot it gets in there, because with the lens effect and everything else, you can get to 100 and 10 degrees Fahrenheit easily, 42 to 45 degrees Celsius in your car, right? So and it doesn't have to be, the ambient temperature doesn't have to be that hot. It could be if you've ever opened your car door on a hot summer day, you roll down all the windows right away.
Sometimes you roll them down even quicker.
Or you've been burnt by your seatbelt.
Never. Yes. So, here's the. I'm just gonna show this chart off.
Sure.
I found it. So here is a chart. Pay no attention to who made the chart. Just kidding. It's simplified 3D. Hey, good news, everybody. They're on version 4.1. Okay. So here's just a chart, basically, and let's pick this one.
You should throw that in chat. Then that way people can have a look at it.
It's a good table, and I come back to it quite a bit. Everybody can see my chat window, my YouTube window. Quick change. I'm just kidding. It's fine. So this little chart, though, one thing that it does tell you is the heat and temperature. So you can see here ABS, and it has like a maximum service temperature, coefficient of thermal, right? It kind of tells you exactly what you need to know, bed temperature. So serviceable temperature is the one that you want to look at. And in a car, technically anything. So these are all in Celsius. So you're probably looking upwards of 70 degrees Celsius at some points in your car, right? So if you print PETG, it will survive. 73 C is where it will start to deform, right? ASA, ABS, those are like 95, very close to 100. Polycarbonate is the best. However, like Greg mentioned too, you'd have to buy a new printing rig to actually print it.
Well, and then you probably want to, for the polycarbonate is very hygroscopic, is it not, David?
Yes, PC and nylon. They're very hygroscopic. So once you open the package within 10 minutes, it could be unprintable.
Yeah. So depending on how humid it is where you are, definitely for some of those exotic materials, I would suggest making some sort of enclosure with a little PTFE tube coming out of it, so you can minimize the amount of moisture that can get at your material as it's unspooling. Throw some desiccant in there, because if you're going to print something exotic like that, definitely you want it to, you spend a lot on that spool. You want it to be able to be printable as far to the end of the spool as possible.
Yeah. PCTG.
I have never tried that. I'm not familiar with that one. PETG, I know.
Well, PET is the base material, and then because you can have PETT, PETG, right? You can change the additive in it. Ben popped in the chat there, 160 F in the car, which is 71, if my math isn't off, degrees Celsius. In the car, so
PETG would survive. So.
Yeah, it would just survive, but it would survive. So PCTG contains all the qualities of PETG. Let's see here. I want to see what the chemical, because PETG is polyethylene Terafil something glycol.
I can't even. I'm not even going to attempt to say that. Stig, thanks for posting that.
Yeah. Thanks for making us try to say hard words. PCT has a higher chemical resistance, a larger range of printing temperatures, and increased durabilities. So it looks like, at a very cursory glance, it's a cousin, basically, of PETG. Now,
It looks like it's more of a cousin of polycarbonate, though.
it really, like, it walks the line because it still has that glycol additive, and that's what gives it some toughness. But I don't know what the exact chemical composure of it. It's not new. I'm not sure where you could actually buy it.
If you if you have a link of who sells it, that'd be kind of neat to see, because I bet you it's not cheap.
No, it is not cheap at all. $125 at this one site for a kilogram.
Wow.
But that could just be that
I
site.
thought Peak was expensive,
right? I found cyclohexylene dimethylene terephthalate glycol. Right? Of course it is.
that just rolls off the tongue.
I thought it did.
As Stig says, say that 3 times fast.
Okay, here we go. You guys asked? No, I'm just kidding. What do we got here for? Does it give us a printing?
Brad says that it's a blend of PC and PETG, 50-50 mix.
Yeah. Well, and it looks like they've done that on purpose to do like they say orthotics and stuff. So that's another, that'd be a great question for our learned guest coming on next week.
No, we're going to challenge him. He's going to totally get his nerd on.
I know, right? It's made by Essentium. Yeah, and I'm on Essentium's site right now. They don't
automotive, aerospace. Okay.
They don't give you like any printing instructions though. Which means, okay. So the melting point is 202 Celsius. So probably print temperature, add another 20 to that just to get good flow. Interesting. It says that the transition is 76. So it's literally 3 degrees different than PETG.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So, but I'm sure that, again, we'll add that to our list for our guest next week.
They got some exotic filaments on here, that's for sure.
It's like the Jurassic Park syndrome.
Stig, you sure find the good stuff.
I know, right? It's like we can, but should we? But yeah, it looks like they sell a lot of like engineering materials on Essentium site because they got PEEK and copolyesters and.
If you look at their top, the industries that they work for: aerospace, automotive, contract manufacturing, biomedical. Like this is not the hobbyist filament site.
I don't think you could print a 10-minute benchy in it. I also have a Photon original, so I'm trying to do it in resin, but have to print in multiple parts because of the size of the bed. Yeah, DKS. Getting stuff like that in the car, like my friend Vince, we enjoy our telescopes, and he printed a bunch of black telescope pieces and left them on his back seat. And then when we went to set it up, everything was blur.
It didn't work. Yeah. You need that. You got to do ABS or PEEK or something for functional, lasting.
Oh God,
heat treated parts.
Don't, guys. No, PEEK is $100 for 100 grams, and you can't print it at home. I guarantee you,
No.
unless somebody owns like what is it, the FunMat HT, something that can go above 300 degrees, then you can. I do want to mention Dom's comment. Will it print a 10-minute benchy? No, it won't. PetG is notoriously hard to
So
bridge
stringy.
and stuff. You're printing a 10-minute benchy. I don't think that the PCTG would do it. Just a guess, though. Haven't done it. So chemically speaking, it does have that glycerol or glycol, not glycerol, glycol at the end of it. Could you imagine if the G stood for glycerin?
Explosive. You had like throw benchies, they explode.
I hope you don't have that thing too close to the build plate, because. But on that happy note, we will say this: join us next week for our special guest. It will be starting an hour before right now, whatever time that is for you. It's 10 a.m. Mountain Standard
it
Time.
depends. Is if everyone else's times changed, it'll be the same time. But if your time doesn't change, then it's an hour different.
Yeah. Stig said, so Stig said he found a direct drive set up on Thingiverse. You lose some X-axis. Yes, lots of those printed ones, you do lose like the size of the motor basically and the axis there. Ben says you could own a FunMat for $7,500. Right? You could print it at home. Somebody found the link. Brad found a link on Amazon for PC. Printer PC, dimensional, polycarbonate material, 2.2 pounds. Cool. I think we're going to end it here. Dom, thank you for showing up. Thanks for the compliment there. But show up next week, guys. We're going to have lots of questions. Send us questions.
10 o'clock Mountain Time.
10 o'clock sharp Mountain Time.
So Google the time difference in your time zone, and you'll get the time you need to be here.
This is true. But until then, if you got stuff to ask, send it to info@3dmakeit.ca. Other than that, have a good one. We'll catch you guys next week.
Thanks for everyone for joining us. Bye.
Bye.